wife Elizabeth. We're going to be in the 6th chapter of Esther. And we see how the enemy always overplays their hand. And Mordecai just went home so tickled. And he was, the last thing he was going to do was that night was build gallows 50 cubits high. That's 75 feet high. And hang Mordecai on it. He's going to go ask the king to let him kill Mordecai on it. So he was not only invited to the queen's banquet, just he and the king, but he was just so happy he was going to kill all the Jews and Mordecai too. And so they're up all night building those gallows, no doubt. Now this is my own interpretation, but when they're building those gallows 75 feet tall, it's going to take a lot of lumber, a lot of torches, a lot of yelling and screaming and hammering and all of that. It might keep somebody awake. So let's see what happens. This is the 6th chapter of Esther. It is really great. Okay, on that night, the king could not sleep. Now see, it's just amazing to me. Wonder why I couldn't sleep. Well, I bet there was a lot of noise going on about some gallows. And he gave orders to bring the book of memorable deeds, the Chronicles, and they were read before the king. And it was found written how Mordecai had told about Bigthana and Teresh, two of the king's eunuchs who guarded the threshold and who had sought to lay hands on King Ahasuerus. Remember I told you about that? It's going to come out to haunt him. And the king said, well, now what honor or distinction has been bestowed on Mordecai for this? And the king's young men who attended him said, nothing has been done for him. And the king said, who is in the court? Now Haman had just entered the outer court of the king's palace to speak to the king about having Mordecai hanged on the gallows that he had prepared for him. Things get turned around, don't they? And the king's young men told him, Haman is there standing in the court. And the king said, let him come in. So Haman came in, and the king said to him, what should be done to the man whom the king delights to honor? And Haman said to himself, whom would the king delight to honor more than me? And Haman said to the king, oh, for the man whom the king delights to honor, let royal robes be brought which the king has worn, and the horse that the king has ridden, and on whose head the royal crown is set. And let the robes and the horse be handed over to one of the king's most noble officials. Let them dress the man when the king delights to honor, and let them lead him on the horse through the square of the city, proclaiming before him, thus shall it be done to the man whom the king delights to honor. Then the king said to Haman, hurry, take the robes and the horse, as you have said, and do so to Mordecai the Jew, who sits at the king's gate. Leave out nothing that you have mentioned. So Haman took the robes and the horse, and he dressed Mordecai, and led him through the square of the city, proclaiming before him, that thus shall it be done to the man whom the king delights to honor. Then Mordecai returned to the king's gate, but Haman hurried to his house, mourning and with his head covered. And Haman told his wife Zeresh and all his friends everything that had happened to him. Then his wise men and his wife Zeresh said to him, if Mordecai, before whom you have begun, if Mordecai, before whom you have begun to fall, is of the Jewish people, you will not overcome him, but will surely fall before him. While they were yet talking with him, the king's eunuchs arrived and hurried to bring Haman to the feast that Esther had prepared. Wow. Things turn around, don't they? You know, the adversary seems like they always overplay their hand. And here, Haman thought he was just so smart, and he's going to hang Haman, and he's really going to overplay it. He's going to build 75 feet gallows to hang him. Wow. And now it's turning all the way around. Thank you for listening to that. Isn't that book so interesting? And now we're going to go to the prophet Joel.